Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Aurora. This class is called Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. This shape is called the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and today is September 12th. So this is the 11th week, or would be the lesson 11, and corresponds to certain teachings, and I can certainly get to those teachings. I'm not glossing over them, but what I really want to do, and I'm like honoring what I really want to do with my internal directive here, is to pause for a moment to take stock, or like say, take an assessment. I don't know if take stock is the right word. Bear with me as I try to find the right way to say this. It's like we're climbing a mountain, and we are individual mountaineers, and we are also climbing together as a collective, and we're encouraging one another to do this. And we're doing this also as a society and as a planet. And in this particular semester, we're about halfway through. It's about 20 lessons, and we're about halfway through. Let's imagine that we have been climbing this mountain. Things are very challenging at times. We found like a little rocky outcropping. Let's put down our backpacks and, make a little campfire and have something decent to eat and kind of look at what we've been doing. So that's what I feel like I need to do in the presentation today. So kind of looking at establishing the context. Drink a little bit of water too. Sorry if there's a background noise. Establishing the context. Because I think that we can get so focused on the details and the slogging through that it can be easy to lose perspective on what we actually are here doing. And also, I'll tell you this, part of why I want to speak more extemporaneously today and not just go according to what I've already established. Our time is very fluid at this moment. This is pretty much 6.5 years or 7 years that I've been teaching about this concept and how reality is fluid and how our minds affect reality. Now, wait. As I'm saying this, I hear the rational skeptics in the background. I hear the peanut gallery. That's like Aurora. Quantum observership's been going on for a whole long time, and our minds have always been affecting reality, and blah, blah, blah. For your overlords in the house, I see you. That's very good. Yep, lovely. Total sweetheart. Beautiful. Yes. One's mind or observership has been affecting reality pretty much since the invention of everything. However, it's been doing it willy-nilly. It's like, imagine having no actual control over your muscular skeletal aspect of self, and everything is waving around like mad, waving around with no control, out of your control. Mostly up until this point in the human realm, humans have been affecting reality and affected by reality and doing wild DNA reality gyrations, but it's not been focused. It's not been intentional. It's not been like, hey, I want to make this blah, blah, blah happen, or I want to go in this direction. I want to have this effect, or even I want to express myself in this way, and then see what the effect is going to be. And that's not to say nanny poo-poo, like you haven't been doing your work. It's more to say that has not been possible for you up into this point. It has not been possible for humanity to be in control of its individual or collective emanations up until this point, okay? So this is the leveling up or the maturation of both individual and collective self to now becoming in control of the musculoskeletal operations that are going on so that you make beautiful things happen. Not only do you become coordinated at the level of time. So you are students of this class. We're doing an overview. You're totally familiar with this. I was going to say you're not unfamiliar. You're totally familiar with what the heck I'm holding up over here. This is a representation of time. And I've been speaking about how it is there are intentional pathways that you can take moving around this shape that are positive and beneficial and that you want to be experiencing. And then there are peripheral explorations or energy patterns that you don't want to be experiencing. Is my piano on? Let's see. And that makes, cover your ears, the stuff you don't want to experience. That's this. Where's my piano? It's not on, darn it. Okay. Sorry, that should have sounded like horrible music. It'll turn on, it'll take 5 minutes to turn on. It should have sounded like horrible music, crash, crash, crash. No, but instead, we're not making horrible music or random, toneless emanations. The caterwauling is over. Now what we are doing is becoming highly trained musical virtuosos of time and our DNA. So overview today, big emphasis, Your DNA is not a static object, and its dance movements are connected to time and reality creation. All right. So this is speaking to some of the questions that humans might have, or the sense of burdensomeness. I don't know if that is the right word, or if that is a word, of having a body and having DNA. That everyone's like, oh, I have to have a body, and I have to wash my face, I have to brush my teeth. Won't even talk about what we have to do to the other body parts. Like, there's so much body maintenance. There's so much stuff that has to happen. There's so much with food, just food prep and washing forks. Spent a lot of my time here as a roar, like just washing forks. You know, this taking care of your body takes a lot of time and everything like that. However, it's not just some arbitrary choreful thing. It's not like we're like Cinderella, where it's like, oh, scrub the floor, oh, do this, oh, stack up the oatmeal boxes. Like, no, we are not just here for chorefulness. The answer is having DNA is a wonderful opportunity that allows us to not just be kicked around like a ping pong ball by the cosmos, like, oh, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm here, but instead to actually emanate. Oh, is my piano on? To play. To play, to send out. So, you know, whatever, if you're not actually playing the music, like you're just experiencing the music, it's washing over you, that's one thing, that's the experiencer, it's not necessarily a participant. But if you're playing the music, then you are part of determining the tempo, the qualities, the tone. You become empowered. That's what this class is all about. You learn to play your DNA the way you play a piano. And what do I say all the time? It would not be kind on yourself to expect to learn to play the piano in one day. And so what I'm doing, I'm going to do a weekend intensive. This is really big. I was on a radio show called Quantum Conversation. So new people found out about Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and in order to get them up to speed so that they can join up with this class, all y'all that already have been well tuned in, I'm doing a weekend intensive this weekend. So that's going to be like a 6-hour presentation on both Saturday and Sunday to do the overview of everything that we've already done over the past 10 weeks or so. And that's basically to get everybody up to speed. So this is it also. This genetic playing of music, it affects reality. And I've been teaching people, I've been doing it since I came here 18 years ago. I'm a galactic walking. I've been teaching people about it informally for over 10 years through my artwork. And I used to do a series of like very short little snippet whiteboard videos before I even did a formal class, before I could even get organized enough to just do a formal class. But I've been doing this formally for the past 7 years. So basically teaching other people as much as I can about these techniques for being a controlled, reality virtuoso, like to be a refined musician as opposed to like some kind of crashing, untrained maker of noise. All of this is having a huge impact on the world. Like, and okay, so part of it is cosmic egg timer, pardon me. Cosmic egg timer meaning like, ding, like your toast is done, ding, your universe is done. That's part of the start if there's background noise. Not that this is the end of the universe, but more in the sense of ding, like time for leveling up, ding, time for maturity, ding, because we're talking about the planet. Like if you're following along assiduously, I applaud you. To anyone who is a student who is watching and doing their homework every week and then coming here prepared for their class, I applaud you. And part of the lesson 11, level 1 stuff is about what's happening on the planet, and level 2 also, what's happening on the planet. So the planet herself is this amazing creative being. I'm trying to use some kind of analogy, hard to even think of it, but like the most amazing artist, the most amazing whatever, able to generate so much. And that we are part of the generation apparatus, like the generative apparatus on this planet, we humans. And our minds are supposed to act in a certain way, and also voices, and also DNA emanations. We're all supposed to be acting in a certain way so that we play beautiful music with the other organisms that are here, and we add to this reality creation that the planet is doing. And I keep on pointing over there to this little painting that I have. Let me squint and scroll for a moment. Let me see if I can easily access this painting. Can I easily find it? If not, then I won't bother to get it. But it's Birth of, there we go, got it. Oh man, it's like the technological gods are smiling upon me. Just keep your fingers crossed. I can annotate too. Oh my God. All right, let's do screen share. Boom. This painting. This is what I'm always gesturing at. Wait, move this over here so you can see me and make this. I do this for the archive so that everyone can see it better. Good. This is what I'm always pointing at over there. It's on the wall over there. Now you can actually see what in the world am I pointing at? This is a painting that I did that's a study for a larger painting that this is like at the top. This is called The Birth of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And the larger panel is called Birth of a New Dimension. And what this painting shows, maybe the techno gods will allow me to annotate too. We'll see if it'll work. Earth's ordinarily toroidal magnetosphere. Let's choose a nice bright color. So I don't know if you can see, but there's little tiny dots in the actual painting that delineate these magnetic field lines that go around like that and that go around like that. But then I use like visual shorthand in order to show that not that Earth is breaking apart, this distance here, again, and I'm using words to describe something that's literally a visual language, to say like something new is coming forth, that there's something within this structure that is now coming forth, and that's what is in the center of this painting. And that's this, the Flying Rainbow Lasagna structure, but you can also see that there's a humanoid in there. There's a person, like there's some face and 2 arms and 2 legs and feet down here, and that there are individuated layers, just like the layers of the chakras that you are used to seeing me show for you in a toroidal level. But this would be the torus that it used to be, but it ain't the torus anymore. Now it's transformed into a pagoda-like structure of nested flying rainbow lasagnas. And all of this in front of the backdrop of the sun. That's what this is back here. No, that is not a pepperoni pizza. That is the sun. And I use different types of like, you know, dropper effects in order to try to approximate what solar flares look like in this. Birth of a new dimension, birth of the flying rainbow lasagna. This is a transformation that has been ongoing on our planet, you know, during the entire time that I've been here as Aurora for the past 18 years. But I don't want you to say like, well, if it can go on for 18 years, then it will go on for 18 more years. No, pardon me. Because that type of thinking is the thinking of the baby that's been gestating in the womb and has gotten to like, you know, the 9th month. And the baby in the womb is like, oh yeah, like this month, I got, you know, like whatever, three units of amniotic fluid. Next month, I'm going to get 6 liters of amniotic fluid. And then the next month, it's going to be 12. And it's like that baby doesn't understand, like, no, like there's no more time with amniotic fluid. Like that's it. You're not going to just keep exponentially experiencing what you have experienced up until this point, that there is a qualitative change at the moment of birth that then you recognize that your process of development and the experiences that you've had up until that point are minor, fractal, microcosmic fragments of what you will experience moving forward into the future, okay? This is exactly what we're have happening on our planet right now. So we are going through a consciousness birth. And a consciousness birth means that we transform. So all the plans that you're making are like plans for the baby with the amniotic fluid. You're like, how many tomatoes am I going to grow? Like how many, you know, whatever, like I'm going to mash up my potatoes with my mouth crystals. Like it is thinking from the limited viewpoint. But I'm not chastising you. And I don't want you to be like, oh, like I should not plant potatoes or think about my needs. No, you should plant potatoes and you should think about your needs. Also understanding that there will be, or there is an ongoing transformative experience that qualitatively shifts your experience. The quality of life transforms. Everything transforms. So I don't know if I emphasize this enough, which is why we're sitting here on this little rocky outcropping, eating our meager picnic of whatever we've got while we're doing this arduous mountain climbing. And I'm telling you that flying rainbow lasagna means that you combine together spirit and matter. Flying rainbow lasagna means that you combine together spirit and matter. I'm not going to be so silly. It's a serious topic. It means you combine together the realm of what was intangible and the realm of what is tangible. The stuff that used to be invisible and now it's visible. the world ain't made of a bunch of dead, stupid, immobile objects. It's actually made of an infinite amount of self-aware material that responds directly to you because it is you. That's what happens in this moment. Oh, listen to that. And clearly after that happens, like, you might still want potatoes or tomatoes, but the whole system is different. Everything is different. Where you get them from, how they are coming to being, how things are generated, what you use them for, where matter comes from and what you use it for, everything changes on a foundation level. This is the birth of a new dimension. This is the birth of a new dimension, and this is what flying rainbow lasagna is. I hope that this is motivating you to continue to climb this mountain, because I know that it is arduous. I know that doing your piano lessons is tough. I know that sitting there and, you know, practicing your scales is difficult, while some people are sitting on the couch eating potato chips and they ain't doing SHIT, you know? And you think like, wow, look at them. They're just sitting around doing nothing. Yeah, but you know something? In this moment of flying rainbow lasagna-ness, in this transformative moment, the people that haven't done their homework are totally out of luck. They are lost. Like, they don't know. And when I say lost, it doesn't mean like the Christian sense of perdition or not being saved to go to heaven. I'm more like lost, like if you get whatever turned around in a cul-de-sac or whatever, like you're lost. Not like you're lost to hell, but like you turned around, you don't know where the heck you are. I think that let me go back to my face. That is the challenge that so many people are having right now. Oh, Cynthia has a question. So wait. I'll go through, and I'm actually going to stick with the chat because I know that I'm doing a lot of extemporaneous speaking today. Cynthia says, "How do I join the overview weekend?" Absolutely. Let me see if I can find the link. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause. Got back on the recording. So I just put in the chat. Someone wanted to know how to, I'm so sorry if I cannot remember a person's name, Cynthia. Cynthia wanted to know how to connect with the weekend intensive. So it is through, if you wanted to, if you're watching this archive, you can go to, sorry, one moment. It's acoustichealth.com, and it's under their special offers. The name of the show is Quantum Conversation, and the woman who is the host is Lauren Galley, and so it is done through like a partnership with her. So if you needed to have search terms, that's how you can find it. And it's coming up this weekend, September 14th and 15th. It is there's 3 aspects to the special offer. It's the first one. It's package A. It's all the way to the left when you open up the little link or whatever. So hold on. Okay, so wait, but focus, get myself together. Fantastic. Yes, that would be really wonderful. So that is what I'm going to do for getting anybody who is a complete new person. If I say novice, like, this is not condescending, completely new, doesn't know anything about what's going on, up to speed to be able to catch up with the rest of the class. And I'm doing that this weekend. All right. So back to, oh, thank you. Daniela is saying that it's a wonderful gift to be able to do that this weekend, and that she's hoping me to get lots of sun gazing energy because it's going to take a lot. Thank you for that, my girl. And thank you for that recognition, because literally I'm like thinking, okay, because, you know, I wrote down my little schedule of what's going to happen at what time of day. Like, it's a lot of dancing. It's a lot of lasagna energy work. I'm going to have a lot of snacks ready, some good juice, be prepared. Yeah, definitely is going to be an athletic event. Okay, so back to what I felt compelled to share about today. What are we doing with Flying Rainbow Lasagna? We're literally transforming the qualities of what matter are on a foundational level. That's what I do with my dance. So when I'm telling you about, hey, like, where you're gonna oscillate the singularity, it's like saying, like, you know, left to the left, right to the right. Like, I'm telling you what to do with your feet. But when it all comes down to it, like, we're climbing this virtual mountain here. When you get to the mountain peak, you're not going to be thinking about left to the left or right to the right. My voice will not be echoing in your head, telling you, like, do this, elbows up, like, like none of that. You're immersed in it. You're feeling it. That's why this is a class about it. But really, I keep on inviting and encouraging everyone to actually do it, to actually feel the immersion. Okay, what are some signs and symptoms that you are fully immersed in the Flying Rainbow Lasagna energy field? What does it feel like? First of all, it feels freaking awesome. It feels wonderful. It is the most fun, best, easiest part of my day, okay? I think I've told you how much, guys, like the phone prompts. I have to call up the cable company, like, if you want this, press 1. No, my life force energy is pulling away. No. If you want this, press 2. No, I'm going into oblivion. No. Like all these things. Like I'm joking about this, but actually what I feel like is like my shoulders get lower and lower, and I'm like urge to kill rising, like I can't take it. And it's because like, or like extremely bored, extremely not wanting to do those items, as opposed to doing the flying rainbow lasagna, which is the most fun, easy, cool, and interesting thing that I do every day. And I include in that estimation doing art and music. So like I love making my paintings. I love doing that. And I also love physical exercise, like to go for a long walk with my dog, or, to do some other, whatever expression through my body. Like I love all of these things too. But flying rainbow lasagna is on a completely different level, because what I get to do is imagine just like temporarily, like just taking off your ego, like boom, just get like taking off your earrings. Just going to take off your ego for a minute and just have a much more expansive opportunity to connect with everything and also have a different set of priorities. So right now, of course, I'm sitting here, I have my own priorities, like my own thirst, my own comfort. Like I need a drink of water, get out of my way, let me drink. Like I'm not caring about whether every person in the world has their drink of water, like it's appropriate. Like I'm caring about my own. That's what's it. But when I do flying rainbow lasagna, then it's like, oh, like I can for a little while stop caring about like my own little limited set of priorities and look at things and experience things from a much vaster, more connected, less encumbered state of being. And it's super fun. So it's enjoyable is the first thing. That's just like if you're playing a musical instrument, if you're in your groove, you're like, this is enjoyable. This is great. This is great. This is fun. This is wonderful. It feels good in my body too. Like there are many, first of all, I encourage you to only do lasagna like when you are feeling well and healthy, and when you're well rested, and when you're well fed. Like it's like doing backflips. Don't do it when you're distracted. Don't do it if it's not the right time. Don't do it if you have a head cold. Like, be at your best. But I do lasagna pretty much almost every day, barring like life circumstances and, major illnesses and stuff like that. And sometimes I don't feel like doing it, just like if you're a exercise person, if you exercise quite regularly, you're like, I do not feel like working out today. But you know what happens? Like you get your gym bag and you go anyway, and you kind of start to feel a lift. Like as you start to go, that is exactly what happens to me. Like I might usually, if I don't feel like doing lasagna, is usually because I'm extremely annoyed by stupid mundane crapola. I'm like, this stupid mundane crapola is making me feel so mad. Like I hate everything. And so I hope you guys can relate to this. Like this is why I'm sharing this. Like a lot of the time my feelings are awesome, but this place is a very hard place to live. And sometimes I get really mad and whatever, I don't know what even is the right word, but like pissed off by stupid mundane crapola. And it can be something as stupid as phone prompts or whatever. And then I'm like, what I need to do? Instead of, whatever, like urge to kill rising, I'm like, I need to dance like a flying rainbow lasagna. And it is my response to the insanity and discomfort of the place that I find myself. And I've been doing this as my response the whole time that I've been here. Like that is normal for me. And what I am doing with this class is an intentional invitation for others to also be able to do this, because it is like I keep using the word fun, like it's not an escape mechanism either, because it is about taking total responsibility. So just like a surfer surfs the ocean and has to be responsible, like you go out in the ocean, like there's no lifeguard there, there's sharks there, you have to know what the heck you're doing. If you fall off, like you're going to have to take care of yourself and swim. That is also what it is like with lasagna. That's why I say take it seriously, like doing surfing or doing backflips or whatever. It is something that there's some element of risk is what I'm trying to say. Like being a gymnast or a surfer, there's the element of risk. So this is about rearranging reality. I told you, big takeaway, it's about transforming the basis of what we call matter, and it's about transforming reality. Because I think up until this point in this class, I've presented it as rearranging events. you know, the idea of like rewriting the narrative script. Instead of person A walks in through the door, person B walks in through the door, or person A walks in through the door, you know, 15 minutes later, or whatever of these things. But what I'm talking about now is something much more direct. Like, oh, you want an apple fritter? Like, you create an apple fritter, like the capacity or to speak matter into being or to directly manipulate. So how, what, because I feel your minds out there being like, how, what? This is how, what. I'm going to do the little whiteboard thing. I'm sorry, I was leaning so extremely close to try to read something. Let's say this is the moment now. Do I have to write now? Let's do it. Sometimes it's just a little hard to control this pen for something like this. And then let's say we'll represent this as the distant past, and we're using perspective to represent it as the past, right? Like, oh my God, someone's not muted. Although I love you all, someone's got to get muted. And okay, good. Back to the whiteboard. Through the magic of perspective, are you muted? Please be muted. Thank you. Magic of perspective, this shows the far distant past, right? Now someone is still unmuted. I thought I pressed the right buttons. You get what I'm talking about here. So what we can do is, I call it covalent bonding across time. This is what I'm talking about in terms of redefining what is matter. Like, let's say here we have one atom and another atom, and they get bonded together by, you know, these molecular bonds, you know, what science describes as covalent bonding. But let's say that there is not a, let me just change colors. There's no one to bond with around here. This guy over here is very lonely because it's like, there's no one to molecularly bond with around here. What can I do? I know what I'll do. I'll go back in time, and I will bond with someone back in time. Or you could also do this forward in time. So now let me use a different color for the back in time bond. He's going to be bonding with this blue molecule back here. And how do you do this? How do you do this molecular bonding backwards in time? You do it through flying rainbow lasagna. So here would be the curly edge of the lasagna. Hey guys, I'm just giving you all the secrets that you need to be an empowered superhuman and directly manipulate time. There's nothing big going on here at all. And then this is the singularity that's purple over here, and this is the singularity that's purple over here. What you just experienced was some of my extremely serious humor, quote unquote humor. You guys got it. I've given you like huge secrets of the cosmos, huge secrets of the cosmos, huge secrets of the cosmos. And I just jumped that singularity back and forth as I was giving you huge secrets of the cosmos. I know I get silly, I'm very sorry. This dot here represents the singularity, or the violet end over here. So yeah, so what I just drew was, you know, this at an angle, right? We've got flying rainbow lasagna over here, connecting this molecule and jumping across time and connecting to this molecule. And so what we can do is have a different structure of matter that includes the bending and folding of the fabric of space-time itself. And as you remember from previous presentations, wait, I should go back to my face. I'm a magician, and this is the magical rainbow-colored fabric of space-time and consciousness. And so what we're doing is, just like I showed you, making the singularity and folding it all of these various singularity points to the center, we're talking about folding these divergent areas of consciousness to the center, bringing together like this molecule over here with this molecule over here through the flying rainbow lasagna, and they get to be bonded. So you're making this lovely folding of space-time and consciousness. So this is big stuff. First of all, this is totally unexplored territory. That is good news, because a lot of people thought that we were in a type of situation that was like an unfixable situation. And also, I'm jumping ahead a little bit because usually I present these ideas in lesson 18, which is a few weeks in the future for us on this class. But everyone already knows this, cat's out of the bag, and we've been talking about it for a long time. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do this fixing / healing of the DNA? Why do we have to do this amelioration or ascension, like raising our energy? Why do we have to climb the ladder to go in this new direction? Why are we in this position? And the answer is because we were artificially diminished. Like, we didn't just climb down here. We didn't just fall down here. We didn't accidentally fall. No, 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 we were pushed. Yes, that gorilla was pushed out of that window and fell. That is exactly what happened to us, guys. So also there's no self-blame. It's not like, oh, we should have been better and smarter and should have avoided all of this. Like, that is not useful in this situation. And what is most useful is simply focusing on a solution, because I know that there are many people, many speakers and teachers and writers and bloggers at this point who focus in excruciating detail on all that is wrong and uncomfortable in this world. And I absolutely acknowledge that those things are in existence. However, bucket and a mop, the dirty footprints exist. I completely agree. All over my beige carpet, you know what I got instead? A bucket and a mop, or like, you know, super cleaner, super cleaner, super cleaner. So how is this super cleaner? What are we doing? So first of all, the crap that's tracked up around the house, it's in your DNA. Please don't claw off your face. Let me just drink. Hold on. I joke about this because I don't want everyone to be like, oh, there's demons inside. There's demons inside. No, that's not what I'm saying, but there's demons inside. In each person's genetic code. So in our DNA, we have a whole variety of different influences. How can I even say it? Like, you know, what your songs are made of might be like a little bit of this melody and a little bit of this melody and a little bit of this melody. Like, this is what we are right now. Okay, that each one of us right now in this moment is the distillation, the, you know, boiling down or bringing from the general to the specific of many, many, many ancestors. Like, if you go back 20 generations, you already have 1 million ancestors, 1 million great, 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 great grandparents, and they are of divergent, you know, qualities, not only personality-wise, but also physical characteristics-wise. So if you go back 20 generations, your ancestors don't look like you, and there are over 1 million of them. And that's all of those potentials that get distilled down in terms of what characteristics are being expressed into this generation here. There are potentials that are within, they're like in the background, not necessarily expressed, but genetic potentials. And that's what I'm talking about when I say that there are these aspects of self that are kind of like hiding in the background, and that it's up to us in this generation to determine what we want to have written in our genetic code. So that's really the big takeaway, that in other times before the invention of this flying rainbow lasagna, it's kind of like, okay, you know, like that's it. Like that's, somebody plopped this onto your plate and like, that's it. You don't get to choose. And no, the answer is you absolutely get to choose. You get to literally refold, change the behavior of, like doing the Rubik's Cube. You literally, I need a Rubik's Cube for this, literally get to change and rearrange your DNA so that now you choose what it expresses. And that's a huge amount of self-responsibility. And that's why in a class like this, I'm not going to tell someone else like what you should express with your DNA. I will say, this is a paintbrush, this is a tool for self-expression, but I'm not going to tell you what to paint. But I definitely want to encourage you to paint your truth with integrity. Sorry if there's background noise. I'm going to take a moment to drink. And paint your truth with integrity. And I remind you also that you are free. Like that is what you are in existence to do. Like, I don't give that freedom to you. Freedom is a force. That's like a force of gravity that exists at large. And we're all a part of that. So the idea of exploring reality, like that is your right. The idea of being conscious and being part of reality and exploring it. It's like having a body and exploring it. Like, oh, like, what does it feel like if I touch my hand? Well, look, that's what it feels like. Or like, hey, like, what does it feel like if I put, you know, like almond oil moisturizer on my fingernails? Like, oh, that's what happens. Like, you are here to do these types of explorations. But, you know, there's, of course, rules. Like I've done extensive conversations about cosmic rules and the whole idea of freedom. It doesn't mean that you are allowed to take away other people's freedoms, because, you know, there's always the psychopaths that are like, oh, good. Like, if I'm here to explore my body, I want to explore what happens if, like, I put my body into someone else's body. Or what about if I put what if I put a machete into your body? Like, all of these things that they take it to this point that it was never meant to be taken to. So wait, let me drink a little bit more. Angel says something beautiful, and then I'll talk to you. There's another comment too. I know there's so much to get through, but this is part of what we're saying. Angel says there's demons inside, but we are their boss. Absolutely. So here's what I'm trying to say, that this flying rainbow lasagna gives each individual the capacity to transform their own genetic code, and you get to choose who and what is active. That's like saying, although I'm not a transhumanist, your body is like a computer and your DNA is like software that's running through your hardware, and you get to be the whatever software programmer. You get to be the programmer. You say, hey, I like this, but I don't like this. This is a bunch of nonsense. This doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit together. Or I don't like it for whatever reason. And you get to just design things to make it look like you want to. So this means that you should be able to design the health and vitality of your body, your day-to-day and moment-to-moment experiences, like what you do and what you experience, and you should even be able to create or manifest actual objects. So up until this point, in order to create or manifest an object, to bake cookies of reality, for any super fans that might have actually watched that little video that I have of reality creation, in order to do so, you need to have the imagination, the raw ingredients and everything like that. And then to be able to actually, creating reality effectively. For too long, reality has been hijacked. That's basically what has happened. The consciousness residues. That's the best word. Instead of using demons, let's say consciousness residues. They are unresolved aspects of consciousness that are floating around, just like you can have fatty blockages in a blood vessel that's supposed to be smooth flowing, but instead we have fatty blockages, like in a heart or something like that. Well, in the time field, we're supposed to have these perfectly smoothly flowing aspects of energy through these membranes of time, but we have unresolved consciousness residues. So if I call it that, that's a little bit, I think, easier to wrap whatever around than demon, because demon is like, demon, be gone. I've had the power of Christ compels you. But what are we supposed to do with these consciousness residues? Again, don't hug them, don't excuse them, don't let them live in your hallway. You have to send them to entropy, which is like a taking away of energy. And it's not necessarily something that you do conversationally by saying like, knock, knock, knock. Hi, it's time for you to go into a state of non-existence, because they're always going to be like, no. It's like kids that don't want to go to bed. Be like, come children, time to go to bed. They're going to be like, no, we don't want to go to bed. And then you have to be the nanny. You have to get tough, because the whole point is they're demons. Like, they ain't gonna listen. They ain't good. They ain't gonna do what they're supposed to do. They're the literal definition of an embodiment of that which is not supposed to exist. They're the stuff that ain't supposed to exist. So also, wait, this is what I'm drinking. This flying rainbow lasagna invention. Now you understand how profound this is, that it's not just something that I invented as Aurora so that I could come into this body, so that this little body couldn't die. It's like, one little body. It's not just about that. I did that, and that's great. But the fact that this is in existence now means that you got a bucket and a mop to clean up the entire lower astral realm, the entire realm of, the muddy footprints, the blockages, the consciousness residues. You now have an actual tool to do something about it, instead of living in misery or complaining or feeling like a powerless victim. Yes. I'm trying to find the right words. That's why I'm saying yes. Sometimes it's challenging. Let me just stop for a moment, collect my thoughts. So to reiterate, creating reality is not just about creating events. The creating events could be like, I want to see a person riding a purple bicycle go down my street. And then you see that happen. That is different than saying, with my observership and the capacity to bake reality cookies, I now make a purple bicycle, standing here on the lawn in front of me. These are two different generative or creative capacities, and they're kind of tied in together. Oh, so what I was trying to say before is that in the past, if we wanted to manifest something, we had to do this whole laborious thing. Like, I want a purple bicycle. So you have to send out the thought form. I want a purple bicycle. And then that thought form actually have to spread in all concentric circles through reality into the past. So someone picks it up in the past and is like, wait, I have to make a purple bicycle factory. Actually takes the time to get the business loan, make the actual factory, smelt that metal, spray paint it purple, actually put it in a store with a for sale sign on it, actually have someone come in there and buy it for their kid on Christmas. Like, it's like a very laborious, like, I don't know if you know this Rube Goldberg, this were like an old cartoon of how a machine would work. Like you have to light a candle that'll burn through a rope, that will kick a ball, that will roll downhill, and then a chicken will pluck at it, and then this will happen, and then finally the thing that you want will happen, as opposed to like the most simple and direct machine that you could possibly engineer, which is like you flip a switch and this thing happens. So this is the difference. What our reality manifestation used to be like was like one of these extremely laborious Rube Goldberg contraptions that maybe, if you're lucky, the chicken will peck at the ball and it will roll downhill and you get your bowl of cereal or whatever you want in the end. But many, many times it doesn't actually work out. This is what I understand, the frustration. Like, I totally understand, like, I'm telling you, like, you got demons running in your genetic software code that's been like, screwing up, it's family friendly, screwing up your manifestation vibe here. And all of this makes you feel extremely frustrated, like, Because of course, if you could just manifest, even if you lived in a money system, if you could just manifest the money that you want, you would be super happy in a money system. Now, there are all sorts of people who do videos right now, and this is not that type of a video, as to how to think and grow rich. And this is like, Think and Grow Rich. I want to say Norman Lear, but I'm not sure if I'm remembering it right. But this is like from the early 1900s. Just rearranging my chair here. Like a long time ago, this guy was one of those, like pinkies up, top hat fellas. And he was like, oh, yes, all you have to do is think and grow rich. And like today, it's like the law of attract, The Secret, the Abraham Vortex. There's all these things, abundance thinking. There's abundance coaches. I am none of these things. And the reason why is because that's playing super crappy, self-centered music at the expense of the rest of the band. That a lot of people are like, I want to jump into the abundance vortex, and then I want to go like on a trip to the Bahamas, or to a beautiful luxury resort, or whatever the kind of thing. Like, that ain't helping the world at all. Like, that is helping your own butt, and not even that much, because you go on a 2-week vacation and then return home to your sad, lame, pathetic, horrible existence. I'm sorry that I'm just hyperbolizing, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, that doesn't help the world, and it's just a flight of fancy, and then you get out there and you realize your life doesn't actually change, and it's money wasted, and you go back home. As opposed to, what if people jumped into the vortex of prosperity and they were like, I want everyone in the world to have clean drinking water. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? That would be an amazing mental project to be a part of. So what I'm trying to say when I do Flying Rainbow Lasagna, and I say it's the easiest, best, coolest part of my day, is I do that dance so that everyone can have clean drinking water. I'm not just doing this dance from this expanded state of mind and connectivity to say, me, 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 I want it all for me. I gotta say me, 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 but I define me as the everything. Yeah, I do want it all for me. However, I define me as everything and everyone, including everyone who's watching this video. So I'm actually incredibly greedy. I'm actually like, I don't only want to have a wonderful mansion for me with beautiful plantation and botanical plants and everything like that. I want that for everyone. I actually want that for everyone. I don't just want to be a reality manifestation for me lasagna-ing. I actually want everyone lasagna-ing. That's it. I want the entire world economy transformed. I want the entire interplanetary economy transformed. And when I say interplanetary economy, what am I talking about? I'm talking about, up until this point, humans have been unwittingly harvested for your various energies, your various intangible, invisible energies. As you become mature and empowered and your higher faculties come online, you can see what's going on. You're like, yeah, like a brain slug is eating my imagination. Stop it. Like, that is what's happening. That brain slug is out of freaking business. They don't get to just take your juices for free anymore. This is what I'm talking about. So, okay, wait, drinking. if you can jump back and forth in time, being a flying rainbow lasagna, and do this covalent bonding across time, like, hey, you can make a new form of matter. Like, why don't you make a new form of gold that's made out of all these little, tiny little pieces of gold from all these different times and places that are all smushed together into one little tiny thing like this that sticks forward into this dimension. And then you got a little nugget here. Why don't you do that? And then you got a little gold nugget from all these different dimensions folding together. And you can take that down to the pawn shop and get maybe $100 for that. Like, why don't you do that? And the answer is because this amount of folding of time, space, and consciousness is worth way more than $100 that you're going to get for whatever, how many ounces of gold you can get in a little nugget form. Like, this is magic. This is magic on the most profound level to do this. So you and you don't do it for mere lowly, mundane commodification reasons. So this is the other thing, in terms of doing these maneuvers, in order to do these maneuvers, you have to change your value system and level up a lot and become more mature internally. And as you become more mature internally, your value system changes. And when you actually get your powers online, then you're you don't want to do a lot of the stupid stuff that you would have done. How about I manifest whatever, a golden nugget, and then I can go buy my groceries. None of that is effective in terms of manifesting reality, right? So, and also all of this has to be sustainable. It can't be something oh, time to manifest another reality, magical nugget, and go on down to the pawn shop. Don't you think that is not sustainable is what I'm trying to say. You cannot do that every week. You have to find a different way. So also, but at the same time that we become able to directly create matter and manipulate matter. And so with spirit and consciousness, spirit and matter, or consciousness and matter, become combined together at the same time that you're doing that, we no longer have to ingest physical matter to run our physical bodies. So this is a big takeaway also. All matter transforms in this transformation. It's not like we are material beings who all of a sudden start to make a new matter that is spirit matter or spatter. Spatter, like what happens with your cake batter when it spatters around the room. I don't know, but that's what I'm calling it, spatter. You become spatter. You become spatter. You are spirit matter. You are now spirit matter. You flying rainbow lasagna. You jump all over the gosh darn place, and then you become spatter. And everything becomes spatter. So you also no longer need to mash up physical potatoes with your mouth crystals in order to nourish your physical body. Your physical body doesn't just run on physical matter. It must run on a new type of food, the food of pure consciousness. And I'm now pointing from my head out my window to the beautiful sun and the sunlight and the stars that are up there too. The idea, sorry, loud truck, of getting sunlight directly. So we're climbing the mountain still, we're on the rocky precipice, going to learn sun gazing. Sun gazing is essential for learning how to feed the body that we're going to have, which is a body that is made out of matter, but responds directly to thought. So here would be an example, your body is made out of a type of matter that responds directly to thought. So if you want your hair to grow longer all of a sudden, you can make that happen because your body responds directly to your thought. That's the type of world we're talking about. And so, in this class, I speak all the time, and it's almost euphemistically, first, figure out in your own quantum laboratory, and then figure out how to, transform with the rest of the matter. First play with your own garage, then the rest of the band or whatever. This is what I'm talking about specifically. Specifically, first you learn to manipulate the matter of your own body, or you make a transformation where the matter of your own body is directly connected to pure consciousness. There's no bifurcation. Here's my little visual representation. If we imagine the screen is cut in half, right? And on one half you have spirit, and on one half you have matter. That's the objective materialist viewpoint that says this thing that cuts the world in half is like your epidermis, a skin, that says the inside, everything that's intangible, is different from the outside, everything that is tangible. But flying rainbow lasagna jumps across that membrane so fast that it makes it as if there's no membrane there, because you can get some of this over here onto some of this over here and talk back and forth between these two sides very, very easily. And then all of a sudden, there's no separation between the inside and the outside, between spirit and matter, between self and context. You are making the world. You're making the world. And according to the traditional human definition, who or what makes the world? That's God. That's the divine. You become God, the divine, making the world. Now, I don't know if according to your human religious training or culture, if that sounds blasphemous. That is not my intention. And I'm very sensitive to the cultural filters that I'm speaking to you through. I'm really trying to get across the idea that there's no external intermediary. It's not like you have to pray to someone else or supplicate yourself to someone else and say, oh, please, I would like to have a blueberry muffin. You could be like, I want a blueberry muffin, and you are able to create it and then ingest it and eat it. And the process of creation is through a direct consciousness bridge connection between yourself and the sun and the stars. So it's not this pure egotistical thing where it's like, me, I want the blueberry muffin. It's more like, I want it, but the I in that sentence is also the sun and the stars, because like the sun wants you to be nourished. That's a big thing. Like the sun wants you to be nourished. Oh, Sarah has a wonderful question. Wait, I'm going to press pause on my presentation. Hold on a second. Sarah, great question. Says, can we teach, and I'm not skipping over you, Ines, thank you. And oh, Lisa says, she thinks that it's Napoleon Hill, the Think and Grow Rich book. Thank you very much. Sarah says, can we teach animals and aquatic life how to FRL? And the answer is absolutely. And that's been a big part of my class that doesn't take place here in this classroom. So this classroom on YouTube is, or whatever, on here on Zoom, wherever you're watching it, this is the visible tip of the iceberg of coherent mental waves that I send out that are sometimes in a flying rainbow lasagna state, or in a meditative state, or in a dream state. I call it telepathic class. And when I'm actually doing my flying rainbow lasagna dance, my dance partners or the rest of the band are often, like you say, aquatic life. Dolphins and whales dance along with me all the time. And they're incredibly sophisticated, good musicians. And also, like, you got to understand, all of these organisms have a vested interest in what is happening here on the planet. Because if one human madman presses the red button, sends off some nuclear weapon. Like, imagine a sweaty, stubby finger pressing the red nuclear war button. And then that affects all the dolphins and the whales too, or whatever. Deepwater Horizon crapola. What I'm talking about is a bad oil spill that happened in the Gulf of Mexico over a decade ago at this point, that profoundly poisoned that entire body of water. That was a deep underwater drilling rig. And dolphins now, like, miscarry all the time. I don't know the statistics. Very large amount of time now that live in the Gulf of Mexico. Like, imagine that. Imagine you're in aquatic life. You're just trying to swim around, eat a bunch of fish, live your life existence the way you're supposed to. And because of crappy Deepwater Horizon drilling residue, you keep on having a miscarriage of your baby. They're in it to win it as much as we are. They're like, screw you, horrible petroleum industry. We need to fly rainbow lasagna too. How about any of these things? Oh, Daniela's battery is dying, but catch the recording later. Any of these, natural occurring organisms that are threatened by the pollution and disrespect to life here, as well as the planet herself. Like, you also need to understand, it's not just like, hey, a bunch of black, oily stuff got put in the Gulf of Mexico and a bunch of dolphins died. That's bad enough. But how about crapola like CERN, or the Large Hadron Collider? How about crapola that manipulates Earth's magnetosphere itself, that has the potential to vibrate in an uncontrolled, disharmonic way the planet to the point of destruction. Like I talk about on this class all the time, the asteroid belt. That's supposed to be a planet. What happened? Bad stuff. that same type of bad stuff can happen to Earth. So I'm telling you that it's not just chemical contaminants or Wi-Fi, contaminants that we are feeling in our own consciousness, but we're talking about things that threaten the cohesion, the stick-togetherness of the planet herself. So the planet herself is facing analogous challenges that we're facing. Like, hey, you either got to do something super magical or you're going to die, like the physical death, die. You got to do something super magical or you dead. That's it. That was the challenge that I faced. So this was my magical solution. This magical solution you can each apply to your own individual lives. The planet can apply it to her life. Guess what? The planet is applying it to her life now, today. Like, this is what I keep saying. Like, it's time to have this conversation. Wait, let me go through comments too. I don't want to go too far ahead. Oh, and wait, way back here. Eleanor wanted to know, Saunders wanted to know, where can I get one of those scarves? I have it on my door over there. I could take it off of there. It's not that sunny. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I usually put it up so that it's not too sunny. I'm not sure if that's going to be too sunny on the camera, but I have these on my online shop. You can find it on my website, on the part where it says shop, or you can do an internet search for flying rainbow lasagna. It should come up on like an Etsy shop or whatever. Yeah, so thank you for asking me about that. I know that Eleanor has used this in order to place it around like a special statue, like a Buddha statue that she has. I didn't want to share too much personal information, but yeah, I really appreciate that very much. You can wear, I wear mine all the time. You can wear these. But yeah, if you have like a special place in your house, or I don't want to say like an altar, it's like a religious thing, but yeah, if you have special objects or whatever like this, these are really lovely for being able to put that on there. Or if you want to make a demonstration of how to fold time, space, and consciousness, you could do that too. Okay, back to questions. Ines says, a good lead is always to think, how would the divine source think in greater context related to your personal wish? This holistic, all-connected view on a personal desire holds the powerful potential for reality creation. Drinking. Now, when we put this awakened consciousness into the Ephra, we should be able to experience great shifts in our world. That's totally it. In order to really use the flying rainbow lasagna, part of it requires like setting aside your own self-centered or egotistical desires. And again, I don't mean to be down on self-centeredness, because you should take care of your own needs for food and drink and rest and toileting and all those important things. But this is about stepping out of those concerns for the moment and focusing from a different perspective. And that's why I find it so refreshing. And I literally go into a feeling of euphoria. When I do the flying rainbow lasagna, that's how I know I'm doing it correctly. And it's also part of my motivation, because I'm like, this world is full of BS. You know, like, imagine I have a newspaper, like, slam down the newspaper. Time for me to dance like a flying rainbow lasagna. Like, that's exactly what it is like for me. And what I do when I dance the flying rainbow lasagna, I step out of reality. I step out of my ego. I step out of reality. I connect on a much grander level. And yes, the more of us that can do this, like it's a concert, the more of us that act in concert doing this, the more profound the music is. This is my entire motivation for being here, doing a video and connecting with this class. And I tell you again, I'm so gratified, and I love the people in this class. I appreciate your efforts, because I know that it's very difficult. Like, I don't mean to sound whatever, but like, I do all this very naturally. And even like trying to think about like, how can I teach other people to do it is a challenge. And I have beautiful students, and they write to me, they're like, how do you do this? Can this even happen? Like, it's like I've been studying the piano for a long time. That's how I learned how to play. So I want you to be like, hey, don't be discouraged. If you just started, you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. I want everybody to keep going. I want everybody to make it to their own levels of virtuosity, where you can do complete healing and regeneration of your body. That's big. That's huge. So just talking about that one, like, we have this kind of model, I think, in the world, that there is an external doctor that is your healer, or a shaman, or whoever, like chiropractor, and like, they're gonna fix you up. And you go to them, be like, oh, like, I feel bad, like, do something to me, like, fix me. and that they kind of like, you're a lump, and they kind of like fix you back together. But this is a completely different approach, where it is radical self-responsibility, where you are able to regenerate and restructure yourself. And there's no one else who is able to or qualified to do this level of restructuring, like on everything from a genetic level to, and genetic has to do with your flight through time. Sorry if there's background noise there, hold on. These levels of restructuring. I mean, it's totally your right to do this. So that's a big thing. The ancestors gave you like the raw materials and the potentials of your life, but it's totally your right to choose what you keep and what you edit out. And also that's part of being an artist too. Artists get to edit their own catalog. That means that if you paint something that's a stinker or like just ugly, like I hate that, whatever, like you don't have to keep it in part of your catalog. You don't have to show it to people. You can be like, oh yeah, I don't have to show that. So yeah, you get to choose to manipulate reality. And none of this is about being evil. Like if you're a psychopath or if you're listening to this through that filter, what happens when a psychopath gets flying rainbow lasagna? Do they turn even more evil? Is it like the Swamp Thing elixir? Like, you guys know Swamp Thing? This is like from the kids' comic books. I used to be a nanny, so I know lots of comic book stuff. Swamp Thing was a scientist, and he drank the magic elixir that does nothing more than bring forward your true persona. And he loved plants so much, turned into a plant. He became Swamp Thing. So he's kind of like a benevolent, giant, kind of slimy plant monster. But he helps people, as opposed to the other people who drank the magic elixir, and they become like, you know, like horrible, toothy, snarling monsters. But that is not what flying rainbow lasagna is. It's not like if I give this to a profoundly evil person, that then they will fly rainbow lasagna and become evil in even more dimensions. No, because I intentionally created this as the solution to all of this freaking good versus evil crapola, all right? It's a problem here. It's a problem on many layers of reality. So again, it's not like, oh, it's uncomfortable here, but everything is super cool and fruity in the higher dimensional planes. Like, no, it's effed up there too, because we've got all of this stupidity that is going on. And no solution. So this is literally like, okay, we needed to create a solution. So I did this very spontaneously, but very intentionally. Like I didn't say, let me spontaneously just whip up a solution that then can be taken and distorted and co-opted and hijacked and everything like that. No, because that's exactly what happened with DNA. DNA is like this great thing that is a super, tool for basically like giving structure to organic life. That if you didn't have DNA, it would just be kind of like piles of goo. But because you have DNA, it allows for more structure in terms of biological cellular structure, but also consciousness structure and structure through time. So structure ain't bad. It's just like learning music theory. Like I found learning music theory gave me more freedom of self-expression. Instead of having to figure everything out and play by ear, I could be like, oh, wait, I know what's going on in this song because the guy who wrote the song also knew music theory. Wait, I know that there's lots of comments too. Comments. Pedro says, so instead of fixing things with the FRL, it's better to rectify the thing that caused the thing that needs the fixing. My friend, you are beautiful. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for being in this class, for your enthusiasm, and for your profound clarity. That was perfect. We're going to say it again. Pedro, my man, he says, so instead of fixing things with the FRL, it's better to rectify the thing that caused the thing that needs fixing. Yes, exactly. So it would be like this. Let's say you had a horrible hair dye. All of the hair turned whatever, green. You didn't want it to be green. You wanted like a nice blonde. Turned the wrong color. And instead of then saying, well, the solution is I'm going to flying rainbow lasagna, those molecules with the molecules of the color that I actually want, or something like that. No, what you would actually do is flying rainbow lasagna back in time so that you make a different and better decision. I'm just trying to, think of whatever decisions I can. I'm thinking of analogies off the top of my head, literally involving hair. Sorry, let's move on. But yes, I don't mean to make light because that was a really beautiful thing. Let's think of a better analogy for the proper uses of flying rainbow lasagna, because this also has to, it's like instead of just picking up the pieces of smashed pottery, changing the foundations of time so that the pottery never smashed in the first place. That's even better. So flying rainbow lasagna in terms of manipulating time, I spoke all about the inefficiency of bringing together many molecules to make a little magical gold bullion that you could then sell at the pawn shop. What you need is to restructure the economy. How can you restructure the economy? So this has to do with affecting humans and reality and affecting human thought across time for a long time. Like not just, like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but hundreds of years ago, maybe even thousands of years ago, if you really look at family structure and wealth and governments and things like that. So that would be more along the lines of how one affects wealth and abundance with flying rainbow lasagna. But there's other things too. So what I was trying to say, I know I'm jumping around a lot in this presentation, is that I'm not one of those people that is talking about like the law of attraction that is basically a very limited application of the cosmic laws of, yes, what you send out comes back to you, or that they, trying to get these fancy vacations or something like that. But that is a misappropriation of this mechanism. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. So it's a fine line, because you want to be like, well, Aurora said like we should get food and drink, but like not the best food and drink. Like, no, like that's not what I'm saying, because you should get the best food and drink, but not at the expense of everything else. Like, what's the real problem with going on a Caribbean vacation? The real problem is that these big giant cruise ships, they leave a lot of pollution behind. They're, giant corporate megastructures. They're not actually very good for the environment or for humanity at all. They don't actually add to the world, and it's not even actually good food. It's just like regular crap food. They put it on a nice plate. It's like that's the level of food that you get there. It's not like super organic heirloom tomatoes. It's just like regular tomatoes, but they put it on a nice plate. Like it's like it comes at a great expense. It's not even actually that great to be there. So that's the in reality manifestation. I think you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want? Why do you want it? And how great is it really? And when I ask myself a lot of those questions from the level of ordinary mundane Aurora, mostly it's like I gotta get the oil changed on my car. Like I gotta get new tires. Like usually it's like basic safety concerns and things like that. And all of those things are important too. But when I think about things on a larger level, I'm like, I no longer want to have to use a vehicle that is dirty and uses petroleum. Like not only have I gone beyond like I need an oil change or, car maintenance, no longer I want to restructure reality so I no longer need a car, or if it's necessary to have a car, to have something that's a completely different type of mechanism that runs differently. That doesn't run at such great cost. So that now I think you're starting to get the idea of the difference between the two approaches, right? So for my whole entire existence here as Aurora, I've been oscillating between these two approaches, because on the one hand, I got to wake up and drink coffee and go to work on my various different gigs that I've done being here, right? But on the other hand, I got to dance like a flying rainbow lasagna and get out of my mundane level of existence and get into an exalted level of existence and, connect with reality euphorically and dance a new reality into existence. And this is no longer oscillating. And I'm inviting you all to come there, be there with me permanently. Like that's the whole idea, is that it's been like regular reality, expanded reality, regular reality, expanded reality. What actually happens in this moment of transformation is we don't have to bounce back. You bounce to flying rainbow lasagna land, quote unquote, bounce into that new mind state, into that new dimension, and you don't have to bounce back. And it is a continued experience. You dance the flying rainbow lasagna and you keep on dancing. That is what keeps you in a higher dimensional state. The dance is done on a genetic level. So internally, I'm describing to you my experience of dancing like a flying rainbow lasagna internally, genetically. And then now I got to go do my banking and feel my lifeblood energy soaking away. And this is not that bad of having to like actually go into the actual bank or something like that. Or DMV. I've had to do all of these things on Earth. This is what I'm trying to say to you. You guys take it for granted. To me, this is like the most exotic but not vacation. It's like, oh my goodness. And this is not what life is supposed to be like. You're not supposed to sit under fluorescent lights while you feel, you're getting inching closer and closer to death. Oh, good question. Okay, wait. Oh, I have lots of questions. Hold on a second. Cheryl, thank you for being here. You are lovely, first of all. It says, why is Earth suddenly facing the challenge to do something magical or else? And the answer is cosmic egg timer. Ding! That unless Earth does something, that Earth ain't got no more timelines in the future. Like there's no more sidewalk. Like there's a cliff. You got to do something. You are walking towards a cliff. And if you don't do something magical, you will walk over the cliff. That is what is happening. Because think about what I'm always telling you. Lesson 18 we haven't done yet in this semester. But I'm always telling you about the planetary invasion. These aren't nice people who invaded. And they didn't invade to do nice things. And they didn't invade to do it nicely without making a mess. They are mean people who invaded to do mean things and to completely destroy the planet. And that's what they're doing. So the Earth doesn't have time to F around or sit on the couch eating potato chips and say, someone will come and help me someday. That's the whole point. The Earth needs to, stand up and do this. We need to stand up and do this. We are part of Earth. We don't have to wait, again, this is my diatribe of today, for a government mandate, an executive order that says now it is time for you to achieve your superpowers and change on a genetic level, kick out the parasites off of Earth. Because there's a lot of people who are willing to understand that Earth is alive and Earth has her own agenda and that Earth doesn't appreciate being polluted and will destroy all of humanity. Like there's people that have no problem thinking about that, that waves or, giant fires or fireballs or something like that, like Earth can do that, but they have problems understanding that it could be selective. Why should Earth be so lame that Earth cannot be selective? Like Earth created everything from a giant whale to a microbe. Like, don't you think that Earth can deal with things on a microscopic level on an individual case-by-case basis? Do you think that Earth only acts in giant tidal waves and can only paint with a giant broad stroke brush and just say, I will now destroy all humans or all, land-based life forms? No. And I would even say, to assess that you might be looking at everything through your cultural filter of expectation, because that's all about like the Bible and Noah and stuff like that, right? So yeah, Earth absolutely has the capacity to selectively choose who gets to be here as the people who are thinking the correct thoughts and who are actually participating in the cosmic band, like in the cosmic music making, as opposed to impeding reality creation with all these other people. Okay, so wait. Oh, there's good stuff here. Okay, so wait. So the answer to Cheryl's question is because Earth has like a parasitic infection and is going to die if Earth don't do something. That's what is the motivation for Earth to do something. And even if that gonna die might be 20,000 years, like it might be beyond your personal lifespan of caring, but like that Earth can live for a very long time. Like it would not be good if it died in 20,000 years. I'm not sure if it is, might be Curtis who's tuned in. It says, because it just doesn't have your name, but if it is, it's good to see you and thank you for being in the class. It says, do you need an activated pineal gland to feel the results of the ephemeral meditation? Yes, I would say having an active pineal gland is essential to be able to do the action of imagining. Like if my arms are moving, my muscles are making my arms move. If reality is moving, it's because my imagination, my capacity to visualize is making reality happen. And that capacity to visualize and imagination has everything to do with the act of flying rainbow lasagna-ing. So now I'll get more into that. What does it feel like to me when I'm in that mind state beyond being, outside of my mundane cares? I'm in an actual world, just like, any of these paintings that I have or what you see, what's printed on my clothing, what's printed on my scarves. This is an actual place. And so when first of all, I'm able to hold both places at the same time. I live there concurrently. So I'm flying rainbow lasagnaing and I see all those things internally and responding to them at the same time that I also see like, yes, there's a tree, there's a garden, there's a lamppost, like I see both realities. But if I close my eyes, then I just see the flying rainbow lasagna reality, the inner world, but it's not just the inner world anymore. Now it's the outer world too. And I actually see particles and timelines and forces. So when I am doing all of my movements, I'm not just doing these movements randomly. I am actually doing them in response to something. And it reminds me somewhat of some of these virtual reality games. Like there's a Jedi game where it's like you have like a light sword and you have to go like this and you have to touch different things and people are wearing goggles. And it's kind of like that, like they're doing different things. So if you didn't see what they saw with their goggles, you would think they're just waving a little magic wand around. But then when you actually see what's in the picture, you can tell that there's like different things that they're actually touching or hitting or moving. That's my dance. So I once had a neighbor across town. He saw me when I was doing my dance because I had like this little nook outside of my studio. It was a different setup. And that was like where I could kind of put my chair, get some sunlight. So like dancing over there. And he says to my landlord, like, "Aurora, she's got some hand jive going." I'm like, yes, I do. He didn't understand that I was doing something in a virtual reality. So I actually perceive this world that I paint and draw. There's a world of polygons and shapes that have different colors and different structures and are moving at different rates. And some of them are harmonically perfect and some of them are crapola. And the ones that are crapola, I'm like, you'll see me sometimes make a move like this and get it out of here. Get it out of here. That's a sour note. Or fling that one over there. Yeah, so when I do, like I'm doing the Merkaba right now. And so what I'm doing with my physical body is a series of motions, but what I'm doing with my imagination, which emanates from the pineal gland, is imagining the star tetrahedron shape being emitted around my body. So when I'm doing the flying rainbow lasagna, similarly, I'm using my imagination energy to imagine and to respond. Oh, let me just mute everyone. Using my imagination energy to perceive this higher dimensional reality and to respond to it. I joke about that too. It's my exercise program. So I'm not just doing random movements with my arms and legs. And also like I feel actual resistance. So it is different, like me moving my hand like this, I do not feel resistance. I'm moving my hand through the atmosphere. But when I do the flying rainbow lasagna and I'm moving my hand like this, I feel resistance. I feel like on a higher dimensional level, I am actually feeling and touching time directly. And I joke that is my exercise program, but that's for real. Like that's literally part of what has transformed my body in doing these motions of touching time directly. So yes. In order to do the flying rainbow lasagna dance, it is necessary for an individual to get to a certain level of inner development in terms of perception, like what you can see and sense and feel with your inner perception, and let's say your otherworldly body. You know, like you've got your physical body that is here, and some people are athletes that are perfectly in tune with their physical body here, but then some people are like toddlers of the higher dimensional reality where your body is like this. And you got to learn how to use and manipulate your anatomy of the higher dimensional reality. And then this is the ultimate dance to do, or the ultimate virtuoso manipulation of the higher dimensional body, which is made out of time. You're made out of time, and you're allowed to manipulate your own body, your own time body. And so what does that mean? Like, what if you don't want to die? What if you don't want the planet to die? What if you don't want to have a nuclear conflagration or an asteroid or some stupid human stupidity or a car accident or any of these things that can end either your individual life or end the collective life? Let's use just a quick example. And I'm usually not very much about current events, but I think that this is really, sorry, making noise with this thing too. I listen to the recordings. I know that this makes a noise. Let's talk about in politics. Hold on a second. Just a day or two ago, there was the firing of a guy named Bolton, who was an advisor to the president, who is known as like a warmonger. He is like wanting to make war, wanting to invade, and he just got fired. And so you understand, like, we're on a timeline where he got fired. We're on the good timeline. That on other timelines, he still maintains his office, and maybe he's one of those sweaty fingers pressing the fat red button that says, send out all the nuclear bombs now and destroy all humanity. This is what I'm trying to say, that you can be doing the right choices in your own life on an individual level in terms of what timelines you want to experience. And then one stupid effort at the level of political bureaucracy, the way it is presently set up, can make, one, very fated choice that then affects everyone. That affects the dolphins and the microbes. All of a sudden, they've all got a vested interest in whether or not this, advisor is pressing the big red button and making a big war on our planet. And so I'm seeing all of these, like what we're experiencing is a refinement of our own personal timelines, but also of the collective timelines of humanity and the planet herself. The planet would suffer if there was a massive nuclear war, so would all of the organisms here beyond humanity. And also, let me go further. When you play around with nuclear stuff that's happening at the atomic level, you're not just working with this dimension, you are also working with other dimensions. There's timeline bleed through. So because of, I won't get into all of it, but what is happening on this timeline affects the concurrent timelines that are next to it, or the neighboring timelines next to it. So it's kind of like the guys that live in other dimensions would say, stop throwing your trash into our dimensions. Like your neighbor who's like, stop throwing your trash in my yard. So that's it. So you think like, oh, if you're going to use nuclear atomic stuff for either for energy, you are throwing your trash in another person's interdimensional yard, or for weaponry, you're again impinging upon your neighbor in the interdimensional sense by doing your own little nuclear stuff. So you do nuclear stuff here on this timeline. It doesn't just affect your timeline, is what I'm trying to say. It affects other timelines. And that's why it's fair for them to have a vested interest too. So, the dolphins might not have wanted Michael Bolton to press the big red button. So too, might probably not the guys that live on neighboring dimensions be like, I don't want them to have a nuclear war either, because that's going to be throwing a bunch of trash into our dimension. So as you start to do the flying rainbow lasagna, you not only get your higher dimensional faculties are online, and you'll be able to perceive all these things. You start to perceive the interconnectedness of things to the point that even if you are operating from a level of pure self-centeredness, the self is defined by everything bounces back to you. So you wouldn't want to send out a poison. You wouldn't want to send out something that's a negative structure, because you are able to perceive how that is connected to all of these other things and events that will then directly connect back to you. So that's what some of the higher dimensional extraterrestrials are like, that they are adept enough in terms of having the higher dimensional viewpoint to be able to see that it ain't cool. Like, first of all, you can't just be like a total hands-off, like, oh, do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter, because people will throw trash in your yard. So you might actually have to intervene, because it's not cool if they throw trash in your yard, and also because you can see what's going on, and the people who are throwing the trash cannot see what's going on. At a certain point, it becomes necessary to intervene. But what I was saying, when you start to do flying rainbow lasagna and you activate your higher faculties, what are some of the things that you will, what will change, will be different? You can profoundly heal your own body. And that's pretty big. It also means you don't need an external healer. It also, all the healers are going to be out of business. You'll have to find a different job to be able to do stuff with. What are some of the other things that you get to experience? Part of body healing, but then you get body transformation. Body transformation is achieving your optimum form. And that would be like returning to being a light eater and not requiring any physical sustenance, like physical embodied apple that you eat. But what you might do, instead of just being like, hey man, like you want an apple? Like, no, it absorbs some sunlight through my forehead today. What you might want to do is do the intermediary, where it's a purely mind-created realm, and someone says, hey, you want an apple? They ain't talking about an actual physical apple. What they're talking about is a mind-created apple, the recording of the experience of senses that once ate a physical apple on Earth, but are now representing or replaying that recording to you in a non-physical sense. And this is what I've been teaching you about all the time in terms of when you eat, when you drink, when you do anything also, because you can say that looking at something is drinking it in with your eyes, and listening is drinking it with your ears, but definitely with your food and drink, take a recording. That fried chicken, my friends made this fried chicken that is just legendary at this point. And as I was eating it, I was intentionally making the recording so that when we no longer have physicality, I can still present that experience to someone else. Be like, play your favorite tape. What is it, like Led Zeppelin? No, it's fried chicken. I'm going to play the fried chicken tape for you. And then you get to get that nourishment. And you could be like, a good chef of the mind is someone who has a lot of tapes stored up. Like, I will play your cheesecake. This one, the cannoli, play it. This one, like, it's so good. And so that's how I have kind of lived my existence here as Aurora. Like, I've made many wonderful mental recordings because, again, like, it's kind of unusual for me to be here. And I'm like, oh yes, I want to taste all of that. So I've tasted some wonderful good things for the era when we no longer will eat physical food. So, because I also tell you this because I don't want you to think that like it's a boring era. Like when you move into the era of pure light and you're made out of spatter, like spirit matter, it's like, oh, like, no, thanks. Like I ate some air yesterday. I'm totally full. Like, I don't want you to think that it's like that. Like, no, you get the sensation of eating cheesecake. Like you get good sensations. It's not boring. And I want to get to more questions. Oh, Saunders says, operate from the plane of grace, which is out of ego and out of earthly reality. Yes, that is what you call the place that I'm talking about when I do the flying rainbow lasagna, a plane of grace, where you have a different level of motivations, a different level of what you would consider success. Like in this world, mundane world, a lot of people think that success genuinely can be defined as having walked over many, many other bloody corpses, wearing your stiletto high heels to make it to the top of the heap, success. And then all of your victims are like bleeding below you. And I don't consider that to be success. So the plane of grace is more this sense of mutual success, having made decisions and created reality structures that are not only beneficial to self while they are harmful to others, but that are beneficial to all. And that sounds like some type of communist manifesto. Structures that are beneficial to all, and we will divide the proceeds to the workers. Like, that's not where I'm coming from. So I'm just like, as I say these things, I'm like, oh, cultural filter is going to kick in. It's more the sense of, let's say if I'm creating an ecosystem, if I do this over here, it's great for this animal. But if I do this over here, then it means that all these little butterflies are going to die. What do I do? Because we need these butterflies, but we also need these trees, but we also need this organism. So a real genius in terms of creating this ecosystem would find a way to balance the needs of all of these different organisms so that nobody dies. And that is what I feel the divine and ourselves as these expressions of the divine here are supposed to be. We are supposed to be so excellent at what we do in creating balanced ecosystems of reality that nobody has to suffer in order for us to achieve our successes and solutions. So it's not like I have to kill off all the butterflies in order for this to happen over here, or I have to kill all these people in order for this to happen over here. There's truly a way to restructure reality so that you get everything you need, all these other organisms get what they need, and reality continues to grow and improve, and everything has freedom. That you're like, Aurora, this sounds too good to be true. Like, where do I sign on the dotted line? Like, that's it. It ain't too good to be true. And when I use the vernacular, it's because literally I'm trying to be relatable, trying not to be too formal. It's not too good to be true. Because when people say like, it's a fantasy, it's an imagination, it's this, that's utopian paradise. It's literally what you can create with your mind. So my reality creation video is all about how we have this potential to create reality with our mind, but we have been creating a mediocre to poor reality because we have been not directly involved or directly in control of what we're making. And no one would intentionally create cancer or to intentionally create cancer in school children. Like, no one would make that with their imagination. There's not like whatever mandate in anybody to think that way. So someone's getting hijacked somewhere along the line. It's like, you don't intentionally throw money out the window, but like, whatever, you don't insulate your windowsills and then the heat all flows out. Like, you're losing money. This is what I'm trying to say. So that was a terrible analogy, but I'm trying to relate to you. Like, no one here on earth is saying, let's create a horrible dystopian nightmare. Although that's not true. There are evil monsters that are here on earth that are saying that. No humans living in the culture that is here on earth are like, yeah, let's create a horrible world with children with cancer and all these things. No, but those things exist. So we can logically conclude that because the evil people, they don't have imagination. They don't have a divine connection. They don't have life force energy. This is the whole point. That's why they hijack your life force energy and try to keep you or us in a diminished state. And that is over. That's over like yesterday. That is over, over, over. So I'm speaking to you in this moment where, we're certainly going to continue with the rest of the semester. Like, I'll go through all the questions in the chat. We'll go through the rest of the semester, but like, dance a new reality into being. Like, this is time, dance a new reality into being, everyone. Like, this is it. And so I've always been saying this, but like, it's really time for this. The answer is not some government solution. The answer is not some edict that needs to be proclaimed and signed and sealed with a wax stamp or something like that. The answer is radical inner genetic transformation. And it is also something that the government cannot control. I think also maybe you might need to recalibrate to understand that the government is not your friend and is working in every way possible to reduce your consciousness and prevent you from getting to these levels of maturity. And when you get to these levels of genetic maturity, you not only no longer need government, but you see government as a complete monstrosity, something that you would never want to intervene in your capacity to manifest reality. It's like, if I make spatter, it's like, oh, we got a problem here. We're going to need a bridge to go from here to here. I make spatter. It's like, okay, we're going to make some matter to go across there. But the government would be like, wait, first we're going to need to fill out a lot of forms and requisition things. We're going to have make sure that this fits all of the laws and all the building codes, then you will be allowed to manifest that reality. Like, that is ridiculous. So a big part of making it possible for this level of reality manifestation to occur is it is necessary to change humans' expectation of, like, who do you have to ask permission from? Instead of saying, oh, you have to wait and ask the government's permission to do everything. At a certain point in any crisis, you will simply say, it is time for me to just effing do this and not ask the government's permission or expect them to do it. I will use as an example now my own community. I live in Ojai, California. There was a fire here about 2 years ago called the Thomas Fire, and it set alight some smoldering petroleum deposits that are natural oil deposits on the north end of town. They're kind of like gooey black oil that got on fire from, like, fires that passed through. And so the options were, after most of the fires in the trees were extinguished, those were still smoldering, and it makes this really bad acrid smoke that's terrible for people to breathe in, right? And it was like over the whole town. And so the government was like, yeah, we can send you this special type of fire retardant chemical to smother that on down. It's going to be like 3 to 5 months. We'll get right on it. And the local fire department said, screw that. Got its own resources, got its own access to the chemical retardant, had it shipped out on some kind of a freight train, and then it took about, I think, 3 weeks, and then they applied it to the smoldering petroleum deposits themselves and prevented our whole entire town from having to be exposed to carcinogens for many, many months while we waited for the government to actually do something. This is what I'm talking about. That you don't have to wait for the government to fill out the forms and requisition the required items, blah, blah. You're in a crisis. That's the whole point. Breathing in toxic air, breathing in chemtrails, being completely assaulted on all these levels. Don't have to wait for the government to requisition it. Also, in a lot of ways, like, why are you thinking the government is going to help when they are the very people that are doing this to you? Why are they doing this to you? Because they are not controlled by humanity. They are controlled by the overlords of humanity, the invaders that I talk about in lesson 18, that have come here to not only reduce your consciousness, not just like a bully for nanny poo-poo reasons, but to harvest your consciousness, like to destroy you and to destroy the planet. It's a fun, happy tale. No, I'm being totally facetious. It is a horrible, terrifying tale that I try to make more palatable by using humor and lightheartedness. It's actually very, very horrible. That's why I'm here. I am here because this is the crappiest ass situation it is possible to be in. And it's not cool that it's going on here. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a young person there. I didn't need to use such language. Don't listen to that part. Bad stuff is going on down here. I'm telling you. And that's why I said none of that is fair. And I think that anybody of any age can relate to those feelings of like, that's not fair. That's not right. I got to do something. And so for me, flying rainbow lasagna is the response. And that's why I'm here. And it is very challenging to be here. So all the challenges that each one of you face, I also face in terms of just staying alive, maintaining a biological structure, finding non-contaminated food and water, and finding non-insane people. And this non-insane people is really challenging because we live in a world where people are not in control of their own minds anymore. And this is also a big change. And wait, I got to get to more questions too, but I have to say this. You know, so I've been here for 18 years. The mind control has ramped up, like turned it up higher and higher and higher. So when I first came here, I had to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and try to lasagna or offer lasagna to everyone who might want it. At this point, if a person hasn't lasagnaed or like become open to it, or if they ain't into it, or if they're too bored or sitting on the couch eating potato chips, it's too late. Like I said to you, it's transformation time. It's time. It's time to do this. So it's not like I can run after someone and be like, hey, wait, you got a lasagna. Wait, mister, wait, you got a lasagna. Like, I ain't got time for that. That's not how this works. It's like I'm lasagnaing, and I'm lasagnaing with everybody else who is ready to go. Like, lasagna is happening now. And the happening now is literally like, when we complete this video conference, I'm going to press the button. I'm going to go sit outside in my chair, and we're going to like go into a different dimensional reality. This is what I'm talking about. And this does not mean that I'm insane, because I can also see the rational skeptics who are going to watch a video on YouTube and be like, this girl with the curly hair thinks she's going to jump into a higher dimensional reality. She's so stupid. Like, no, this is actually the only sane thing to do. Your government is not going to freaking save you. The government is the one who's been spraying you with the chemtrails, trying to derail your ascension, trying to prevent you from being able to make this transformation. Like, no, intelligence agencies are not your friends. No, law enforcement is not out there going to do some special thing to try to, like, you know, lock up all of the evil ones. Like, this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. And I know that it's important to stay positive, or to consider that there might be good options going on, but I'm really about radical self-responsibility. And why am I saying all this stuff? Because I think that there's this fairy tale that's been promoted not only amongst the New Age world, but amongst a lot of people who like are grasping for some level of hope that has to do with predictions from QAnon and the idea of what is really happening. And it keeps all of the expectation and attention focused on the machinations of the government. And this is what I feel is profoundly unhealthy. Whether you are a QAnon true believer or not, please agree with me that the expectation and focus on some government agency or bureaucracy in terms of incepting or transforming a transformative movement here, in either biological or as a social level, like that is erroneous, because it should not be something that comes from the government. It should be something that comes from an individual and from humans as a collective. It's like saying you're waiting for the government to tell you what's the next dance style or what's the next music style. It's like, no, you're humans. You're supposed to come up with the next music style. You're not supposed to wait for something else to come along and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. And so, okay, cosmic egg timer. Someone asked me, why does Earth have to do this now, otherwise die? Cosmic egg timer, the parasites are here, but also cosmic egg timer, like, it's time to claim your imagination. It is time that, when Curtis was talking about awakened pineal gland, like when you claim your imagination, you recognize that you are literally painting reality with the paintbrush of your mind. You create reality with your mind. And if that is truthful, then you can paint a beautiful reality that does not include a lot of the malware that we're presently running. Let me get to more questions. Inez says, do you mean when we restructure our DNA here on Earth on a human level, will this have also an automatic influence on cosmic realms directly or indirectly? Yes, and thank you. Thank you for that insight. You're very, very good. That is exactly what happens. So it's the opposite of how I think many humans expect it. Many humans expect either God or angels or the divine masters in a higher dimensional realm, somewhere beautiful and fabulous, it smells like cookies, that they are going to take care of everything, and then it's all going to trickle down, and then we'll feel it here in our physical bodies, and then it will, you know, affect our day-to-day mundane lives. And I'm saying, no, we in the physical bodies, the users of the toilet paper, actually restructure our DNA on Earth and send out those emanations, and that trickles upward or outward to the higher dimensional, less dense realms and affects them. And my evidence for this is my presence here, that I, as Aurora, if I could have stayed less dense, non-dense, whatever. If I could have stayed up there, out there, I woulda. It would have been a lot easier. I could have saved the gas. Could have saved the trip coming here and doing all of this. And no, it is not possible to have that level of influence without having an actual physical body. Just need to drink a little more. Actual DNA, actual connection to time, actual connection to the planet. So I'm trying to just reiterate and reaffirm, we're powerful. We're very powerful. It's the opposite of everyone thinking like angels are more powerful. Like, no, you're more powerful than an angel. Saunders says, in your last week's talk, you said you would put up the link on actually doing the flying rainbow lasagna dance. Would you please do that? Yes, of course. There's actually several. So each semester I've done a demonstration of doing the flying rainbow lasagna dance in class. But I also have the link for the one that I did at the conference in October. And you must forgive me, but also like what I'm doing right now is writing down like on my to-do list. Although I appreciate your requests and I know where they're coming from, like these administrative details drain my life force energy and make me stop doing the lasagna dance. So I have to now write down, I need to send link to FRL dance on Dropbox. But these are really challenging things to do because like I want to be responsible and professional and send you all these things, but also like it can just be very, very challenging to continue to administrate all of these details. So I'm asking for everyone's continued understanding that in terms of responding to emails and doing other administrative tasks and details. Like guys, it's time to jump into a magical reality. I might not have time to respond to all of your emails. This is what I'm trying to say. Do you understand? I know, because you're smiling. I totally understand. You see what I understand. Like, we are flying a starship right now. We are not in a regular reality. We are not in a regular reality. Like, new rules apply. We are in uncharted territory. And yes, I find that I have limited amount of time to do, not limited amount of time. It is that these administrative tasks feel very unnatural to my time structure, to my what I do moment to moment and how I use my mind. So I'm just having difficulty integrating with that. But I will send you that link. Curtis says, will you someday host FRL retreats? I could absolutely do that. It would only be for people that would be able to pay for that. And I'm sorry to have to be in that way, because I'm usually all about, like, I want to be able to give lasagna to the people, but I'm also recognizing, like, I got to receive a lot more. If I'm going to give out a lot, I got to receive a lot more. So, I mean, it would be for people that had the physical resources to be able to, travel to where I am, do an Airbnb and, be able to, pay me for some kind of a weekend thing. Like, I would love to be able to do that, but I don't want everyone, here's my, I don't want everyone to think that Aurora's become some kind of cutthroat capitalist because she has to charge hundreds of dollars for a weekend retreat and now become some kind of fat ass like all the other fat asses. Like, that's what I don't want you to think about me, but that would be the reality if you wanted to, if I organized some kind of a workshop or whatever in Ojai, like, I mean, it could be $400 for a weekend plus a person's travel expenses and everything like that. Like, that's just a lot. And I recognize that, like, on my website, I recognize, like, if I make this scarf, like, I can, keep it affordable. Like, if I make a silk scarf, like, it's going to be hundreds of dollars. I am very cognizant of socioeconomic class system here. I'm part of it. I understand it all. Like, I don't own that many silk scarves of my own. I do not actually have a dry cleaner. Like, this is expensive to own and expensive to maintain. Like, I'm totally down to earth with you guys. So that's my answer to that. But thank you very much for your question. Ines says, so does this mean, Aurora, you spend more time in the fifth dimension daily by FRL, which might influence the lower reality level of daily life, and you keep this enthusiastic state to cope better with the limitations? Ines, that's exactly how I live my life. So I spend the maximum amount of time that I can doing the flying rainbow lasagna dance, being in that higher dimensional perspective. And then what I usually do after I generate all that energy is I put it into art and music projects. So for many hours of my day, I spend my time doing that. And if I could, I would spend all of my time, but I have to sometimes do the phone prompts with the bank. And that makes me, like, I'm like, dance and dance and dance. And then like, oh, I have to stop dancing and do the thing, whatever the thing is. So yes, I feel like what I would like to do is just be able to engineer my life so that I no longer have to stop dancing, because none of the things that I have to stop dancing for are very like crucial at all. They're just little choreful things that I have to stop dancing like a flying rainbow lasagna for. Mini man, good to see you. He says, I'm very curious, but also impatient. And I feel that time is running out fast. Like I'm not going to learn FRL fast enough before I die. Well, that's your problem. Ain't going to die. But going on, it says, not because of me, but because the situation world is getting too effed up too fast. What do I think? Is my feeling valid? Is there enough time? Thanks. Well, mini man, look at this. You and me are sitting here having this conversation now. The world did not explode yesterday because John Bolton or some other seemingly like impotent old man with a fat, sweaty finger pressed the big red button. That happened on a different timeline. So regardless of what level of your personal FRL skills you presently achieve, you've been gifted with another day. And I presume that you will be continually gifted with another day until you have had enough life experience to spontaneously do the flying rainbow lasagna dance and transcend death. So yeah, I don't think that you have to worry about just like, damn, like I was so close, I almost lasagnaed, but I died and it ain't fair and I have to go back and try it all again. No. You keep on getting the get out of jail free card. Like, you were gonna die, red finger, red finger, red finger, red finger, but get out of jail free. That guy gets fired. Now you're on a different timeline, because this is what keeps happening. And when I say red finger, it's actually Deus Ex Machina. It's the hand of God reaches out and changes reality. This is what we individuals and collectively keep experiencing, so that you get a chance, get a gosh darn chance just to do the lasagna, because there's so many cards stacked against you that I think like if you didn't get this Deus Ex Machina chance, like very few people would be able to do this. So rest assured, even though the sense like that the train is leaving, it's true, it's leaving, it's really going, but that doesn't mean that I can make you an instant virtuoso. It doesn't mean that I can be like in class today, be like, okay guys, here's how you do flying rainbow lasagna, now you will get there. Like, it's like, remember, we're climbing a mountain as a class, and today we're on the rocky precipice halfway up, and you're saying like, I just want to get to the peak. I just want to get to the peak. It's like, well, duh, this is what we're doing. We're good at getting to the peak. And also this is how long it takes. That's what, and yes, you will get the time that you need. It's not like they're going to be like, like God is bored. Just trash the whole system. Stop these mountain climbers trying to make it to the pinnacle moment. No, that's not going to happen. So please rest easy. And I'll just reassure you, like in my own life and in political things, I keep on seeing like a respite keeps on being given. Let me drink more. It ain't over. That's like whatever, Yogi Bear. It ain't over. Yeah, that keeps on happening. We keep on having extra innings. It's supposed to be over in 2003, guys. Like, we keep on having extra innings. We have as many innings as we need to be able to continue and complete what we need to complete. Cheryl says, have you ever lived on any other planets where the people have already transformed and are able to manifest things with their imagination and no longer need to eat physical food, or is Earth your first planet? Lovely question. So I have not lived on a planet, and it's not in the past tense. I live in a future time or a time outside of time that is not a planet, but is a floating collective where everybody there manifests things with the flying rainbow lasagna. But that is a future time, the time that I emanate from. That's where we're moving into. Her language is very hard. Time that I'm emanating from is a time of, let's say, I have been affiliated with earthly times, earthly eras that are the historical past. That would be defined as Atlantis. Me, Aurora, a non-physical being. I was around at that time a lot. I was very involved with life here on Earth, although I did not have my own physical container. So I certainly understood and have comparison to what that culture was like on Earth. And there are other realms that have a similar level of civilization, but on this planet, that level of mentality and civilization is no longer accessible. And this is my first, it's not my first planet. When I was associated with Earth in the past and with Earth bodies in the past, I was not a full-time driver of the body. I would only be a part of the body and the vehicle experience during like very special like ceremonial moments of like, you know, singing or like, you know, doing something, not scrambling eggs in the morning or buying toilet paper, any of those things. These are novel for me. I brush my teeth of this body. I take care of this body. But also I have to say, it's like I have had to learn so much in taking care of a body. Just very different. Like if you're just used to only eating tomatoes, but you never had to grow tomatoes, you're going to have to grow tomatoes. Then it means you're going to have to learn all about the soil and the nutrients and the pests and the this and the that and the seasons and the light and all this stuff. So I had to learn a lot about what it is to have a body, how to keep it healthy. And first I learned like all of the ways in which earth culture right now like makes your body very unhealthy and all that, because of when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I did all the things that everybody did around here, and then I'm like, this isn't like, I'm like, this isn't good. I'm like, this isn't good. Like none of these things are good. You know, like you could tell. Like I learned like tobacco isn't good. Like alcohol isn't good. Like none of these things are good. And then I didn't even know about genetically modified stuff, and that I started to learn about like 2006. And then I'm like, oh my God! Like now I have to read every label. Yes, it was a huge learning curve to learn how to care for a body, and I'm still learning. Like I still learn about all sorts of different things. Like I didn't just as whatever as examples, like I didn't know about like, you know, natural things that you can do for taking care of your hair with oils. Like I only knew like about shampoo and conditioner, but there's all these different things you can do. Like there's all these different things. So I'm constantly learning. Or like brushing your teeth with coconut oil. I'm constantly learning about the different things that are more natural that you can do with your body. But also, since the invention of the flying rainbow lasagna, we are in unexplored territory. So the civilization that we're building now in terms of being made out of spatter, spirit matter, is completely new and completely unique. It's a situation that has never existed before, and it's something that I have never participated in on any other place or in any other place. And I think it's part of what makes it fun and exciting to be here. Christina says, what I'm understanding is if enough of us do the FRL dance, it would be analogous to the 100th monkey theory. Yeah, I think that there is a certain momentum that occurs, even though I like to reassure everyone, even if only one person did the dance, that would be enough. But there's definitely like, if you light enough candles at a certain point, you have a very bright, blazing, you know, amount of light. And that's what this is. This literally is bringing in light from the sun and the stars through your own DNA into this world. And that's it. That if you want to say, Aurora, what does the flying rainbow lasagna do? I would say it connects formerly divergent realms, and it brings light into places where light never used to be able to travel. That is my gig. That is, I'm light. I am light that is able to come into this body, into this realm, into this culture, into this time, through this doorway that otherwise would not have been able to come into this doorway. Yeah. And the light is basically these ideas that I send out, even though, you know, it's like, it's an abstraction too. It's an inner light. Even if I never said anything with my mouth, I would still be sending that out to you, but it's a literal light. Like, look, I use colors. I use a literal type of light, you know, the language that I'm sharing with you here in order to send these ideas out to you. And then I also send it out through, you know, biologically connecting to you with DNA, through connecting to you through my flying rainbow lasagna dance. Yes, because you want to like, Aurora, what if we only have 99 people dancing? Are we all going to die and go to hell? Like, no, you're not going to die and go to hell. You're going to be okay. Even if you only have 99 people dancing, you don't get 100 people. Because again, I think that there's a lot of programming. There's Christian programming that says you have to save everyone, like you have to save all of the lambs so that they don't die and go to hell and burn for eternity. But then there's also other things of like the idea of you have to kind of like proselytize to convince others, like shake them by the shoulder, like you have to flying rainbow lasagna, like getting them to understand it. And that's never been my way, because I've always known that however many people do it is enough. That's the real answer. Even if I only had 2 cool people, and I have way more than 2 cool people, you know, to jam with in my band, you know, to do this type of work and collaboration with. Yeah, that would be enough. So yeah, we definitely have enough people go, but you know, something, the more people that play this music, the more coherent it is, the stronger it is, the easier it gets. Like it gets a lot smoother. Bob Hope says, great call on manifestation on Earth, Aurora. There are some real issues concerning manifesting and extinction with humans at the moment, extinction rebellion, etc. I feel this is a manufactured thing to make things worse. It is making things harder, causing division and accelerating negativity. Good to hear something positive with solutions instead of watching people being played like fools, which is why I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Bob Hope. Thank you very much for that. So I think what you're referring to when you say extinction rebellion, I think it is a modern environmentalist movement that tends to blame humanity and say, humans, you are ugly, stinking poopers, and you emit too much pollution and carbon dioxide, and you're the reason why polar bears are starving, and you deserve to, whatever, be pooped upon. Like, that's it. It's like, you deserve taxes. We're going to tax you. That's like getting pooped on. Yeah, it's this blame the humans thing. So there's a lot of this going on. Like saying, look, the oceans are full of plastic. It's like, I didn't dump my straw in the nose of a turtle. I did not put my straw in the ocean. How did that straw end up in the ocean? I don't know. Should we be looking into municipal waste? Should we be looking into whether it is corrupt? Should we be looking into whether or not like a mafia owns municipal waste companies, and instead of properly recycling or putting things where they're supposed to go, they get dumped into sea turtles' noses? Should this be looked into? No. Instead of looking into that and being analytical about things, let's point the finger of blame at humanity and saying, so also it's this, humans eat too much, stop eating so much, be a vegan, eat a bean. Humans make too many babies, stop having babies. In fact, start having abortions. You make too many babies. And then even breathing, you make carbon dioxide, stop making so much carbon dioxide. Like all of this is the Extinction Rebellion. And it preys upon certain vulnerabilities, and it's part of a globalist agenda, it's part of a satanic agenda. Yeah, so thank you for calling that out and recognizing all of that. And I'm completely the opposite, because I recognize that there's a profound environmental crisis that's going on right now, and a great deal of it has been exacerbated by technology. Like, let me drink. Scientists collecting creek water and rainwater, like in some place like the Rocky Mountains, found that it was all contaminated with microplastics. So there's a headline, microplastics contaminate local creeks. But no one says, like, where did these microplastics come from? It didn't come from you and me. Seriously, it ain't from, because like I brushed my teeth and I spat it out the window into the local creek, and that's where the plastic came from. Like, is anybody looking up and being like, there's literally polymers being sprayed in the sky over many, many years, like seriously, like since 2014, since earlier. I see all of these pictures on social media. I'm sure, whatever. I can't exactly say when it has started, but pictures of plastic snow, trying to melt snow, finding out that it's plastic, snow that has slumped down in solidified kind of, I'm not finding the right word, formations that looks exactly like plastic. Snow, quote unquote, that is not behaving like actual snow, but is instead behaving more like a plastic-like substance. This has been reality for humans on Earth for, let's say, the past 5 or 6 years, with many people sharing their places on social media, from places as diverse as Detroit to Norway to wherever, lots of places where there's snow, and it's very normal to get a lot of snow. Yeah, plastic. Plastic is sprayed in the air, and it gets in all the water. So this is the problem, that no one is like, there's actual plastic in the air and it's getting into the water. Like, I'm making this face that is like of the stupidest person in the world that cannot make it, but it's not just that they're stupid, and I have to stop with that, because the answer is that they have a profound disease that is not allowing them to see and think clearly. And that is literally what I'm here to try to help people with. But at this point, if you got that disease and you ain't doing the work and you're sitting on the couch eating potato chips, like, ain't gonna run the marathon. Ines says, can we invite all good beings who are interested to improve the content of one timeline altogether into our personal FRL to make big shifts on Earth, combined action towards ascension? I think that's appropriate. Here's what I would like to caution against. Don't let anybody else drive the ascension car. Don't let anybody else who professes to be a wise, benevolent, ascended master tell you like, oh, drive over there, do this, do this, do this. You got to be like this. Yo, who's got the body? Who's got the body? I got the body, my body. I drive the car, I drive the essential vehicle. And also, who's got the planet? Who's got the planet? Hey, if you come from Arcturus, like, this ain't your planet. If you come from Andromeda, this ain't your planet. Who's got the body? Your body is a microcosm of Earth. Who's got the planet? Please don't acquiesce your ownership of your body or of your planet to someone else who comes along and says, I'm a benevolent space being, because they got their own problems. So what I would say is pool resources, but never lose creative control. You have to maintain creative control, because there's a whole bunch of not bloodthirsty, carpetbaggers, like greedy. They're like, I want to come in and get your juicy planet. They see a great deal of opportunity here, and they'd love to be like, hi, we're benevolent, we're here to take over. Be like, no, you don't get to take over. You don't get to take over my body. You don't get to take over my ascension. You don't get to take over my planet. I'm actually in charge. That's what I want the end result of this to be, is that you're in charge of your own body and humans are in charge of their own freaking planet. And that includes me. You understand? Like, it wouldn't be right if, whatever. Saunders says, can you put up the link to the reality creation video that you did? It is very, very cumbersome for me to find that link. You can find it very easily in YouTube by putting in the keywords Aurora and reality creation. Thank you. Cheryl says, in old languages such as Latin and Old French, the word ment means mind. And since the word govern means control, then government equals mind control. That is exactly right. And the beings that really created and incepted and have controlled our earthly government since 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, all of recorded human history, they ain't from here. They ain't earthly humans. They are non-earthly, non-humans creating the mind control structure that controls you. That ain't right. Cheryl says, if you did a retreat, I would do the catering for it. Beautiful. And also pay. Beautiful. Well, perhaps that could happen. That would be lovely. Christina says, I would be happy to pay for a retreat as well. Great idea. Curtis says, can I receive the FRL dance video somehow? Vernon, yes, Vernon. So look, first of all, the FRL dance video is available to patrons, even patrons at the $1 level. So Saunders, that is one way that you can find that dance quite easily. It is on my Patreon list. So maybe that's the easiest way for me to say it. I'm not coy. I'm not holding out on you guys. Here's why I am this way about the videos of me actually doing the Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance at the conference. It's not something that is like a sexy dance or a twerking video, and it is not something that I would like to go beyond the actual engaged students of this class. Like, it's not just for people to make fun of. I'm very aware of like how things can be diminished or the power or energy taken away from it. Like, it's not that type of a thing. For many years, I didn't even share the dance by doing it in front of anybody. Okay? It's a private, magical dance. That is, and it's also incredibly bizarre that I did it in a conference room in Albuquerque, like on carpeting. Like, it was a very bizarre, like, that is, I think, like if you're going to do some magical manifestation dance, where would you do that? In Albuquerque, in a motel like this? It was very strange. Anyway, it was not like a very magical setting is what I'm trying to say. Like, it wasn't in the woods with trees. Richard says, did spiritual masters like Jesus and Buddha know about the science of FRL? My initial answer is they could not have, because it was not yet invented. He goes on to say, how else could they perform miracles? Did their level of consciousness enable them to perform miracles from the quantum field? I would say yes. Their level of consciousness enabled them to, quote unquote, perform miracles, which means directly manipulate reality. So first we'll say, we'll separate out that there's some propaganda in all of the religions about who, if the religion was based on an actual physical person, what then was placed on top of that is propaganda. But if we can get rid of all of that and just say some people leveled up, they became athletes of consciousness, and this is who they were and what they did, then those beings, like, that's like the performing of miracles. But the Flying Rainbow Lasagna was not available to them at that time. It's only been available since 2001. So they did all of their backflips with the genetic movements that were available in their time. You could even say that they innovated their backflips. It's just like in ice skating. The first guy that ever did a single axel was like pretty cool. And then when they did a double, that was pretty cool. Then somebody did a triple. Like, that's what it's like. Like, they did that, and they did that, and they did that, and then I did this. Now someone will say, Aurora, how can you compare yourself to Jesus or the Buddha? I'm like, I'm not, and please do not make some kind of a religion. Like, I've been very, very clear, like, this is not anything to be worshipped. Like, this is definitely something that is like for you to apply to your own individual life. But the best answer, like what the answer that I like, is that there were actual genuine virtuosos, you know, the historical figures of both Siddhartha and Yeshua, and many other no-name brand people that did this successfully too. And that they actually, like being a huge athlete, like, you know, being a really well-trained athlete, that they were able to do that in their time. They were like athletes of consciousness. The difference is that right now in our world, we are beset with levels of technological interference that those guys back then didn't have to face. They didn't have to face plastic snow. That's bleak. I know, because there's a lot of fakeness in our life. Like, we got fake GMO food, we got plastic snow, we got stuff blocking out the sun. Siddhartha didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. So they developed the DNA patch code that was effective for their time with the malware of their time. But at this time, you got to have different patch code because you got different malwares that are running. So it's definitely over the limit for my recording for today. Let me end the recording, but not end the questions. And so the plan is I do the weekend intensive this weekend, and I'll be sure to include that link in the description. And then next week, we'll be returning to class with a lovely new, fresh bunch of participants that are ready to continue jumping on board. So this is also why I wanted to like bring us up to speed and get them up to speed. And then we're going to dance like freaking lasagnas. Okay. So I'm going to end on that note. Thank you so very much. I'm not in